Hey, I'm Drew, and you're listening to episode 2 of the Citizen Coder podcast. In this episode, I talk to another Drew, this one from drewlearns.com, a learning platform with a big free course on web development. We talk about his entry into tech, building a web platform, DevOps, the secret to Udemy, and so much more. Let's dive in. Okay, all right, we're live. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Hi, I'm Drew from codingwithdrew.com. I teach people how to code for free. I've been doing it since, let's see, probably about May. I started doing this, and it's just blown up. I've been really enjoying the process. I've been hosting a lot of spaces to meet a lot of new listeners, new followers, new students, and really get to know, who my students are. Um, I've been a DevOps engineer for a couple years now. Um, I started um, I started my journey as a nuclear engineer in the U.S. Navy, and kind of went to freelancing, and then from freelancing I went to customer support, and then kind of progressed along the way to get to where I'm as a as a DevOps engineer.
Well, that's awesome. Um, so how long have you been programming?
Uh, I got my first computer when I was a kid, like MS-DOS. But I
Nice.
wouldn't I wouldn't consider myself a programmer at that time. I didn't know any languages. In fact, I would say I didn't know anything besides Microsoft Access until probably like 2016, 2017. Um, actually, yeah, that sounds about right. And I knew basics of HTML and CSS at that point.
Okay.
Embarrassingly, like I was selling websites and I barely knew HTML and CSS, which is crazy with no code solutions. It's like it's a real possibility. Um, and since I was like so embarrassed by it, I focused on trying to study as fast and as hard as I could. When the time came to learn JavaScript and be a full stack developer as fast as I could.
But yeah, I started learning how to program in 2016. I picked up a Udemy course, um, and HTML, CSS, that kind of stuff. And just kind of went from there. But what kind of made you decide to build a learning platform?
So, um, it's a good question. When I set out on this journey, I I was dead set on the idea that nobody was going to hire me because I didn't have a college degree.
Mm.
So I wanted to prove that I had the requisite knowledge, and so I started blogging about it. And from the
Oh,
very beginning, I knew that like, all right, I'm setting myself up for potential opportunities later, and had been
sure.
talking to my wife for the last 3 years about how I was going to take my blog and turn it into a course. But I needed to just learn this one more thing, and one more thing. And I just never wanted to pull the trigger on it. And
Yeah.
she's been encouraging me the whole time. And I was just like, I don't want to, I don't want to do it. And then one day she came to me. She said that her friend had a son who was considering a $10,000 uh, boot camp for security, and I was like, $10,000? Do they guarantee him a job or do they place him? And they're like,
Hmm.
no, it just preps him for a test.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
like, that's insane. Like you would pay $10,000 for that. Like, let me teach him. Let me talk to him, see if he'd be interested in what I do. And he was totally into it from the first conversation. So I was like, I tell you what, here's what I'll do. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't expect you to get up when I get up. So why don't I just record a video of me teaching you like Markdown, and then you take it and see what you can make with it. And so that's kind of how it started. And now I'm over 100 and something videos.
So you started recording videos for this guy to learn from.
Yeah, he he took on the challenge of 100 days of code, and he decided at the end that he was going to go to a college that teaches web development, and so that's what he's doing now, and I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Wow, that's really awesome. Can I
Yeah.
ask what you were doing at the time, or
What do you mean?
job wise? Were you still in the military at that point, or?
No, this was just a couple months
Oh,
ago.
okay, okay.
Like, yeah, I just started recording all these back in May.
Oh, okay.
So I've been busy.
So how long did it take you to get your first programming job?
Well, I didn't wait around. So I was freelancing up until I had my first job. I did that for 2 years. So I freelanced under company, my company name, hostoctopus.com. It's a tongue twister too. I don't know why I went with it, but um, I had a cute logo and everything, and my wife, she helped pick out the logos for both Coding with Drew and that one. But yeah, so I freelanced for about 2 years, finding small businesses that needed my services, either hosting a website for them, making their website faster, or redesigning, rewiring the whole thing. I did that pretty successfully. I made $45,000 my first year.
Wow,
Um, yeah, it wasn't easy. It came with a lot of late nights,
sure.
and
That's the grind.
freelancing is a grind. Like if you're not coding and you're not making money, and the only way that you can make money is to not be coding because you have to go out finding clients. So you're like wearing too many hats. And at one point um, I was just answering the phone in the middle of the night about password resets and stuff, and it's just like I've had enough. And my buddy, who I had recommended go work at Flywheel because I liked Local by Flywheel. It's a local um, WordPress development
Oh, yeah, I'm
platform.
familiar with that. I've used that. Mhm.
Yes, I was like, check this thing out. You should totally apply to work there. And he was like, I might. And so he applied. He started working there, and like a month or so later, he was like, hey, I'm having a beer with the CEO. And he sent me a picture of him next to the beer fridge drinking beer with the CEO. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And so my plan was that I was going to keep freelancing and do that job. So I got picked up as a happiness engineer. So my entire purpose was to resolve developer problems on the server, and I was really good at it. Like I feel like I was really good at it. Anyways, I was handling between 6 and 8 chats at a time with really great positive feedback. I was the first person to hit 10,000 chats, and I was like one of the last ones to join the team. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Um, so that was my first job in tech is just solving developer problems with WordPress. And I I honestly, if they paid better, I'd still be there.
Yeah,
But it's customer support. It's an entry level job.
sure.
It tends to not pay too well. And through a series of lucky, I guess, uh, exposures to CDNs, I left there to join Ally Bank as a CDN engineer, and they just needed somebody to work to manage Akamai for them. And I never worked with Akamai, but I had CDN understanding and experience, and they're like, "We don't care, we want you." So I got really, really lucky. It was a 30-minute interview. I have no idea how that ended up panning out so well. And I did that for a year, and I was, I was burned out. Like I had a release every night of the week, Monday through Thursday, and it would start at 8 o'clock after banking hours, and it would go until like midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just working too much. But I got a lot of exposure. They converted me from CDN engineer to site reliability engineer after about 3 months.
Okay. Is
And if you're not familiar with site reliability engineering, it's like a prescriptive methodology of DevOps, and it's got a primary focus on monitoring and postmortems. So like when an enterprise company has downtime, it costs them a lot of money.
Sure.
So it's cheaper to hire engineers whose primary focus is trying to keep that downtime at a
At a
minimum.
minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I did there, and it's just been a journey ever since. And so now I just do DevOps full time, and mostly just solving developer problems. It's still customer support at the end of the day,
Sure.
um, but instead of dealing with 6 to 8 uh, developers at a time, I'm dealing with one, and it's been really good to me. I love it, and I found this passion at my first job in tech. Like I found my people,
Right. Right.
and I want to introduce more people to it, and that's where kind of the passion behind coding with Drew came along.
Okay. So did you set out to just teach completely free on drewlearns.com, or is there like a subscription fee in the future?
So initially, I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to sell this for so much money. I'm going to be rich off of this course." And then I started thinking about how I wanted to market it and how I wanted to, expose it to the world. And Udemy came to mind, but I don't like how Udemy rips off all their
Yeah,
creators.
so
Um,
let's talk about Udemy for a second.
yeah,
I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine about Udemy that I'm probably going to post later. Um, but um, but yeah, so have you done any Udemy courses, or kind of,
I've
have you delved
taken
into that?
a lot, a lot of Udemy
What's your
courses,
number?
and uh, I have like 6 accounts.
Okay,
And I couldn't tell you how many courses are on each one because there's a
why
lot.
6? Is
Um,
that a lucky number?
no. So here's the reason why I like I feel crappy kind of the fact that I've done this, but
I've probably done it too.
when
So
when you're financially like kind
yeah,
of
sure,
strapped, like a $100 course is a lot,
yeah, yeah,
but when Udemy has a sale every single day,
hmm,
and all you need to do is sign up under a new email address, and you can get a course for
right,
$13. It's a no-brainer.
yeah,
And so I signed up for like 6 different
sure,
accounts, and
yep. I've
yeah, it's
I've done that too. I've got I think I've got 3 accounts. I've got probably 30 courses on my main account, and a smattering of courses over the other two. But yeah, the same reason. It just it's a no brainer. I have never bought a single course for $100, and
full price. Yeah.
I never will. Now that being said, I have paid for yearly subscriptions on things. Um, there is a
But you probably would pay full price if that wasn't an option, like if they didn't have daily deals every single day of the week where you could just sign up with another
I
email.
mean,
And
maybe.
that's where well, I wouldn't have. I probably would have like maybe found, I don't
I
know. I honestly think that like they totally don't do anybody who creates on their platform any service other
Sure.
than gaining a huge audience.
Yeah,
And so I considered
I agree with that.
posting a free course on Udemy just to gain their
Hmm.
audience, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh, there's a free course by Drew, and
right.
this would be a really great opportunity for me to get my name out there. And then I checked out like 5 different learning management systems, from Kajabi. Um, Kajabi's really nice, actually, and I would use Kajabi if I didn't know what I was doing.
Is
So
this a platform for creators to use to host their own stuff, or is it a Udemy style?
for podcasters, for e-learning, anything that's subscription based, that's digital format, Kajabi is pretty
Can
legit.
you can
There's
you drop that link in Twitter or
Yeah, I'll send it
Messenger?
to you on Twitter. Kajabi.com. There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
I checked out Lessonly, um, which is interesting. There's also the Gumroad.
Yep.
I checked
Familiar
out.
with Gumroad.
Um, I checked out a bunch of different platforms, and they were either way too
Hmm.
overpriced or they charged an exorbitant fee for everything that you sold for, and it ultimately came down to I don't care how many people take my course. I care more about that I'm building something that's kind of my own, and
Sure.
so I figured, okay, I could pay $125 a month at Kajabi or $90 a month, um, and have them host my thing, and I have a client relationship management system in there, and all this extra bells and whistles that I don't have time to deal with, or I can spend that same amount on hosting on a decent platform and build something that I'm super proud of. So that's what I did. I built my own platform, Coding with Drew, and it's on my own web servers that I manage, and um, yeah, I'm super impressed with it.
Yeah, I actually am too. I've kind of looked at it as you've been building it. Um, try to give you a little feedback here and there if I notice something out of the ordinary. What kind of technology did you use to build it?
WordPress actually, and
Oh,
I know a
okay,
lot of people are like
that's cool.
pretty anti WordPress, but so I'm using Buddy Press with or Buddy Boss with what is it called? Um, it's an LMS.
Is
I want to say
is Buddy Boss a theme or is that a plugin for?
it's a theme system. I don't. It's hard to describe. It's a lot more than just a theme. Um, it's kind of all the nuts and bolts, and then I'm using what is it called? I have to Google it now.
Do it.
WordPress LMS LearnDash. I'm using LearnDash.
Learn Dash.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I created it all with WordPress, Buddy Boss, and LearnDash, and I hosted on Kinsta. I'm a affiliate with Kinsta, so if anybody's looking to host their website on Kinsta, shoot me a DM on Twitter. It's Coding with Drew K, and I'd love to send you a link. It would help support all the free things that me and Andrew do. So
Yeah, send me a link for that, and I'll definitely post it in the show notes.
thanks. I'd appreciate that.
Uh,
Yeah,
was
I also use Elementor, which I'm an affiliate with
okay.
too. I have affiliate links for that as
All right,
well.
cool.
Um, yeah, so my aim was if I'd rather give a free course and then find creative ways to make money off of it
Hmm.
and build a build an audience. So I have you ever heard of Seth Godin?
No.
He's a prolific author, writer, blog. He's got one of the most read blogs on the internet.
Hmm.
He's just a miraculous human to listen to. But his niche. I don't know how most people
Oh
say it.
yeah. Okay,
Niche.
I do recognize him. I
Yeah,
googled him. I do recognize
he's
him.
his niche is in marketing
Okay.
and business.
Right.
And so one of the things he talks about is building your tribe of 2,000 people. And I just hit 2,000 followers on Twitter, which was like my big goal. I need 2,000, like not just like people who the like a number of
Hmm.
followers, but a number of people who I interact with on a regular basis. And I interact with them in Spaces. Spaces has become one of my favorite new things. Like it's a new hobby. I host Spaces Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Nice.
And those spaces are just, it's like a podcast, but it's interactive.
Yeah, I've actually
And
considered doing some of that for some of my episodes.
it's really cool. I love it. I had one on Sunday, and I had about 300 people in it.
Hmm.
It was just a really great experience, and I recorded it so more people can listen to it if they wanted to. There's just tons of value in like how to find a job and like like just little tips and tricks that people wanted to share.
Hmm.
I love that, like, I'm networking and I'm uplifting my network at the same time.
Sure.
And have you ever heard like the saying like you're the sum of the
Hmm.
people in your
Yeah.
network, or the sum of the people you surround yourself
Yep.
by?
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
I think that like I gain nothing by holding any of these secrets, like how to become a coder, how to learn how to code. Like I gain so much more by giving it away freely than I ever would by like trying to sell it and maybe struggling to like make a few bucks. I
Sure.
mean, I really don't need the income. I'm pretty fortunate that I'm in this position, but yeah, I felt like long term, my plan is to start selling more advanced courses, but in the same fashion. So, coding with Drew was it was like, here's an introduction to coding, and here's some tips on how to get a job in tech, based off of the skills that I'm going to teach you, and you're going to build a portfolio the whole way through. And so like it wasn't just like learning a lesson in a vacuum where you like learn Python but you don't know how to use Python.
Sure. Yeah.
You know how to like build a thing out of a tutorial, but that's it. So I wanted to teach kind of holistically from a macro perspective, like this is how you become a developer.
Hmm.
And so I would like to teach a senior developer course that I would like to charge for,
Okay.
because this isn't easy, and the the the, the there are costs. I'd like to offset them, and
Right.
then I'd like to do a freelancer course and a DevOps course.
Now, will they be centered around um like using WordPress or just different things?
No, they're going to be full stack probably, and various technologies that I've used and learned. I'm probably, as much as I hate Jenkins, I'm probably going to teach Jenkins for DevOps because it's so prolific
Pretty
in
common.
the business world. Yeah, it's like it's the worst tool, but it's the most common tool. And so like I have to teach the thing that will get people more experience or exposure so that way they can land a job. And that's really like my aim. So I want to charge flat rates for all my courses. And so I settled on $99. My wife is like so upset that I was like giving away this course for free to begin with. And then she's like, you have to like charge a premium. People don't find things that are free valuable. And I'm like, I don't think that you understand my target audience, because they're like getting on Udemy like myself
Hmm.
and taking cheaper courses because they want to learn during their free time,
Right.
and they don't want to like go to college or make a huge investment because they might not like it.
Yeah.
So so that's why I wanted to do the free introduction, free it's a free developer course. Like you learn a lot.
Right.
And then I want to take that and turn it into senior developer where you learn React, React Native, Flutter, you learn database management, migrations, and you also learn some networking and how the internet works, for senior developer.
So
And
are you thinking charging one price, um like say sort of like a yearly subscription, and then people have access to all your courses, or is this kind of like a per course cost?
per course,
Okay.
I don't want any subscriptions. It's too much to manage.
Sure.
And I'd rather just give somebody, you paid for the value, you're going to get it, kind of thing, and you always have access to it, instead of like trying to make it like something where somebody would come and like, well, it's $100 a year, and then a year from now that subscription comes due, and they get slammed with the $100 fee.
Hmm.
Or the first thing that's gonna drop during hard times is a needless subscription for $10 a month. That's why Netflix subscriptions are the first things to go in people's budgets, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, so I'd rather do just $100 flat fee per course after my free one, and they're optional, right? Like I already teach so much that you don't even really need them to get a job in tech as a developer.
Right.
You can take my free course and probably land a, an associate developer job. I hate junior developer. I hate the name, the term. That's why I say associate,
Yeah, yeah,
because if you look for a junior developer role, they're looking for a full stack developer with 5 years of experience and all these BS things, and
it's
it's
insane.
just not it's not fair.
Yeah,
And the competition is so steep
yep,
because people are looking for junior developer roles,
yeah,
and they they happen to be the kind of roles where a company is trying to promote somebody to like a manager position, but they don't have anybody underneath them.
right.
So it becomes like instead of it being the most qualified candidate, it's who does the senior developer like the
Hmm.
most that they can work with.
Yeah,
And I just don't really like that.
I think I
So
think part of the problem is that there are so many people teaching front end stuff and not enough people teaching DevOps or back end or things of that nature. So you've got a whole slew of people that are just trying to get their foot in the door, and it's typically a foot in the door in the front end. Um, and I think there might be, I mean, I don't know, but there might be some back end areas where they could get their foot in the door, but you know,
it's definitely hard to like step into, because front end is kind of the entryway into web development, right?
sure,
Like
yeah,
you're going to start building applications on the front
right,
end, and you have to have a front end before you can have a back
hmm,
end, and
oh yeah,
so it's a natural progression. And I don't think you can really get into DevOps unless you've already been a developer,
okay, that makes sense.
um, mostly just from an empathy standpoint,
Hmm.
right? Like understanding your understanding your your customer, which is developers. Operations is a totally different world. I can write code today and it'll still be in operation 2 or 3 years from now, because it's not subjective. Um, it's not like front end code, right? Like the moment you commit front end code, it's already out of date. And then like
Right,
in a
yeah,
year, there's a new framework,
yeah,
or, it's not as accessible as it should be. There's a new standard, or,
hmm,
it can be improved upon. Whereas like if I write a script, it's good. It works. It does the job, and it doesn't matter how pretty or ugly it is.
right, right.
I'll be happy if I never have to touch CSS again.
Yeah, I've kind of steered clear of front end anymore. I got kind of burnt out on all the frameworks and all the new, JavaScript this, JavaScript that, JS, all that kind of stuff coming out. Um, so I think going forward, I'm either going to finish out learning PHP and maybe jump into Laravel, or learn Ruby and jump into Rails. I know, but both of those are kind of maybe smaller areas, but um,
PHP and Bash are so similar.
yeah.
If I was going to learn PHP, I'd learn Bash
Hmm.
first and then learn PHP. Just mostly just because the the mental lift on from one to the other is pretty minimal.
Okay.
And um, I've learned quite a few languages now, and it's really interesting to take. After you learn the first one, all the other ones come super easy,
Right.
and this is why I teach Bash before I teach JavaScript,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the
because
Bash.
yeah, so Bash is my favorite language by far. It's so simple. It's the most widely used language on the web, right? Like everything is Linux based, that a website's going to live on, or software is generally going to live on a Linux
Right.
box. So if you learn Bash, it's gonna serve you so well through your career, and then it also gives you a mental mapping of how a language works. And so you can take that same mental mapping, because an array is an array. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You take these fundamentals of programming in one language, and you can carry it over into another one. So I wrote an article when I was learning Python. I compared Python to JavaScript, and after learning Python, I absolutely hated everything about JavaScript because it's so much easier than Python. JavaScript is, if there was one thing I could redo,
Hmm.
it would be not learning JavaScript
Yeah.
first. JavaScript is a is an older language that has a lot of luggage,
Right.
and instead of doing what Python's done, where they have Python 3 and it no longer supports Python 2, right? JavaScript still supports the very beginnings of JavaScript. And so you have to learn how it was done all the way through to like ECMA 6.
Right.
And it just kind of it's a
Hmm.
mess and there's a lot of luggage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's a new framework of the day, so you got to learn that.
Yeah.
And it's almost a requirement that you know a
It,
framework
Java.
anymore.
Yeah. The whole JavaScript ecosystem is like a a a language with ADD. Like it's like there's every
Yep.
time you turn around, there's something new. Oh, let's we need this. Oh, we need that. Oh, we need this. And half the time, or maybe most of the time, it's not necessarily a requirement, but everybody just wants to jump on the new thing, jump on the new thing, and that makes it
The reason is
really hard.
most developers learn JavaScript. And so when you have a problem and you only have a single tool in your toolbox, you see a nail and all you have is a screwdriver, you're going to use a screwdriver, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like I feel like JavaScript is a screwdriver in that scenario.
Yeah. Okay.
And so like as you learn more languages, you learn like, okay, JavaScript is really great,
Hmm.
but for a specific purpose. Like I would never try to build a website using Python. I know you can using Django, but I don't even want to learn it because there's no jobs for it as far as I know.
Right.
Like you might find one, but in comparison to
Hmm.
JavaScript, yeah, not even close. And if I was gonna like learn a scripting language, it would be a hard toss between Bash, Python, or Go. They're a better use case than say Node.js, which is what like JavaScript developers like. Oh, I got this problem. I'll solve it with Node, and so you have all these npm packages that
Hmm.
are like the heaviest thing in the universe is npm packages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your modules.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah. There's just I don't know. I just don't see the point of trying to do everything with JavaScript. Um, when there's other solutions that might be easier. Oh, there it goes. Sorry, my phone took a fall and then my screen went wonky.
Are you recording from your phone?
No, no, no. I dropped my phone on my keyboard. It fell off the.
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
No. I did the first episode with my phone. And just kind of a hacky mic that really didn't work too well, but that's the beauty of it. You can kind of throw it in, program and edit. So it worked out okay. The sound isn't the best.
I definitely recommend checking out Descript.
Descript.
Yep.
Okay, what is this?
This is for audio recording,
Okay,
editing
all
software.
right.
You edit as a script,
Oh, interesting.
so you can get rid of dead space with a click of a
Oh, I
button.
might have to try this out.
Um, it's amazingly wonderful.
I haven't started
Um,
investing in tools yet because I'm.
well, you can get a free trial with like 3 free hours
Oh yeah.
of editing
Okay.
and transcription. You pay for the transcription on it, and it's amazing. So throw this thing through there, and you'll be blown away with how good this tool
Cool.
is.
Yeah, I'll give that a shot. I'll try it out and see what it's like. Yeah,
No,
there's so many tools and stuff. So I started using Zencaster to do the main hosting and it does like quality edit, so it raises all the levels and kind of levelizes the sound and things like that. So that's nice, but it doesn't cut out dead space. And if there are sound issues, it doesn't really fix them too much. Um, I had a recording that I was working with earlier today, and my buddy's mic had like a high pitched whine in it, and I just couldn't figure out how to remove it. And
Descript.
I mean,
Just use
I'll
it.
throw it in there and, and,
You're gonna
and I'll
love it.
see if it works. That would be great. It would be good to still be able to use the audio. So um, I'll give that a shot.
You're gonna love it.
um,
I use it for recording my screen,
Okay.
and the ability to like edit audio and overdub
Hmm.
stuff. You can train its AI to speak in your voice. It is the craziest thing. It is so
Oh
cool.
wow, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but at the same time, like if you're editing
Sure.
stuff, it's so helpful to like, oh, I didn't mean to say that word, or it's not very clear.
Uh-huh.
So you can overdub that word using your voice without having to record
Oh,
yourself.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. That
So
that'll be worth looking into. That'll be good.
yeah.
Huh.
I pay $30 a month for it.
Okay.
It's it's not that bad. Um I would pay far more for this product, and I'm just so impressed with it. So I gotta tell everybody who's recording anything with it.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot because if it helps that much, definitely be worth using. Uh,
Yeah, I hope I've given you some like tools and tips that might be beneficial to you. I
oh
don't know.
yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna go through these links. So once we're through here, if you can kind of send me all the well, links to your platform, of course, and any other uh any
Sure.
other thing that might be useful would be good. Um, do you prefer the term coding or programming?
I don't really have any
Yeah,
preference, really. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, but it's an interesting question. I guess
it
coding
is.
was the name that I landed on because programming with Drew just doesn't sound good.
Yeah, yeah, it's longer too. You know, coding's kind of short, sweet.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on with me today, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to seeing what the final product is,
Yeah, I'll
man.
chop it up nice.
I look forward to
Yeah,
it.
me too.
All right.
All right, buddy.
All right. Bye.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you. This has been episode 2 of the Citizen Coder Podcast. If you'd like to try Drew's free code course, you can find it at drewlearns.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at codingwithdrewk. Check out the show notes for all the links and tools mentioned in the show, and as always, I'll see you next time.